Hey, Mean Matt here. So, WrestleMania 7. It's kind of funny now we're back in American soil. Last year's WrestleMania was fun. I was too young. I wouldn't have been able to go anyways. But yeah, so we get to the Royal Rumble where the WWF Championship changed hands. Sergeant Slaughter is now the WWF Champion. The winner of the Royal Rumble is Hulk Hogan. Why the hell not? WrestleMania 7. Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. But first, let's get through WrestleMania 7. So the dark match was Coco Beware versus Brooklyn Brawler, of course. And Brooklyn Brawler lost this match to Coco Beware. And this would eventually Coco Beware in the following year as the tag team with Owen Hart and High Energy. Then we get to WrestleMania 7, the Rockers versus the Barbarian and Haku with Bobby Heenan. The Rockers were really good in this one. And that's one thing I could say about Shawn Michaels. I know that he's not my favorite wrestler. I don't like him. But the fact of the matter is, he is a great performer. And, it doesn't matter if he's with the Generation X or the Rockers. He was always in a good tag team. And it just really surprises me how good they were. It's a shame that people will always say, the Marty Jannetty of wrestling, or tag team wrestling, or in referring to the guy that doesn't get his run in the WWE, and the other guy does. So, anyways, the Rockers won in this one. And, it's a shame, too, is that they did actually get the WWF Championship Tag Team belts from the Hart Foundation, except the match had to be restarted. Therefore, it never existed. Just like Y2J's first WWE Championship run didn't exist. Anyhow, the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, defeated Dino Bravo and Jimmy Hart. Yeah, I said, before that Jimmy Hart managed some of the greatest Canadian wrestlers, and I forgot to include the Rougeaus. But anyways, so Texas Tornado beat Dino Bravo, and I only saw him once or twice when I started watching wrestling. So, yeah, he left, and I found out later that he killed himself, as did his brothers, the Von Erich curse. But, yeah, nonetheless, he won. Then we had the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, with Winston defeating the Warlord with Slickster. I'm a dog person, and the fact that they had the interview with Winston, the Bulldog, the English Bulldog, no less, that was really cool to see that. They had Matilda with the British Bulldogs and Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith, but now we have Winston, who's the male Bulldog, and it was a great mascot for Davey Boy Smith as a singles career. And it's a shame because you had the PG era recently. If you wanted to shoot for children, it would have been cool to revert back to the olden days in a way of having your WrestleMania start in the afternoon again, having animals being involved as mascots. I know it's not a damn circus, as Bill Watts would say, but it was pretty cool to see that, and then having the Bulldog go over the Warlord was pretty cool as well, So, It was a good match. I really enjoyed that. Then we had the Tag Team Championship match. Heart Foundation versus the Nasty Boys. Now this is, the Nasty Boys just come in as the heel tag team. They are, you know, at this point in their career, they came in from AWA, I believe it was, and I didn't know that until years later. But yeah, the Nasty Boys were a heel tag team, and they actually won the tag team championship from the Hart Foundation. So this was a cool match. This was also leading up to Bret Hart starting a singles run. So yeah, good match. The Nasty Boys unfortunately aren't together anymore. They're still obviously very much alive, but they're, not together anymore. And you don't hear much from Siggs, but always Brian Knobbs. And then we get the blindfolded match. Jake the Snake Roberts versus Model Martel. What was interesting about this feud was the Model Martel spraying arrogance in Jake's face, and then Jake going blind. Now, what I don't know if this is true or not, if Jake's eyes really were blind like that and looked all fucked up and crazy, or were they contacts? I don't know. They apparently look like that for a few weeks. I, as I said, didn't watch wrestling at that time, but yeah, I think that he went a few weeks looking like that. Anyways, this was a cool match because you got to see these two blindfolded with the black sack around their face. That sounded wrong, but whatever. It was an amazing thing to watch, and having the fans interact, they have Jake not missing, the model, and then eventually giving him the DDT, and then giving him the win for the match. And then we have the first appearance of The Undertaker, who's managed by Paul Bearer. Undertaker coming in on the Survivor Series late November, and yeah, this was a pretty good thing to see The Undertaker make his WrestleMania debut. He was there late in '90, making his debut with $1 Million Man. He was managed by Brother Love, and then it followed Paul Bearer. So this match was with Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Of course, this marked the first victim of The Undertaker, and giving him the Tombstone Piledriver. Undertaker won, and this started the 2 decade of destruction in The Undertaker. Well, he's still around, technically. For how long, I don't know. Then we get... no, this is a retirement match. Ultimate Warrior versus Macho King, Randy Savage, with Miss Elizabeth on the crowd, and Queen Sensational Sherry in his corner. When I first saw this match, I thought, oh, I didn't know they faced each other again, because I knew they had a match at they had a match at SummerSlam '92, and it's when I started watching wrestling. I didn't know this match existed. I thought this was interesting because this was career versus career match, or I'm not sure if Ultimate Warrior's career is on the line in this one, but nonetheless, Macho King was the one that cost him the WWF Championship, and so this match was pretty cool. You have these two most energetic, eccentric guys in the business at this time, facing each other, and it's awesome. What's also sad about this is like last year with Macho Man and Dusty Rhodes, it's those four individuals are no longer with us. Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Sensational Sherry, Elizabeth are all gone now, and we have this match to look at, and it's just like really, just if you were a child at this time, it's like wow, your heroes are now gone. Anyways, Ultimate Warrior beat Macho King, and this ended the Macho King gimmick, where Sensational Sherry kicked Macho Man when he was down, and Elizabeth came out from the ring and pulled Sherry off, and Randy, thinking that it was Elizabeth that was doing the damage, and then they finally exchanged words and, hugged it out, whatever. The crowd was in tears. And I'm not gonna lie, the second time I saw this match, and maybe it was the first time I saw this match, I was a little choked up as well. But this was a good match, and this would bring back the face of Randy Savage. So that was cool. Then we have Jen, Chiro, Tenru, and Koji Kalo. I know I butchered that. Defeated Demolition and Crush with Mr. Fuji. And basic was like the first time I saw Crush was when he didn't have any makeup. So I knew that Crush eventually turned heel, joining Mr. Fuji again. I didn't know at this point until I saw this match that he was a part of Demolition. But Demolition lost this match. I was very surprised by that. I have to watch WrestleMania 7 again, because I'm not sure who the hell these Japanese guys are. But anyway, this was a decent match. Then we get the Big Boss Man versus Mr. Perfect, ending in disqualification. This match was for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Of course, Mr. Perfect lost by, well, no, he retained the title. This was disqualification. Mr. Perfect had a habit of getting himself counted out or disqualified in order to keep the Intercontinental Championship. And, it's kind of sad because Big Boss Man only had the Tag Team Championship and the Hardcore Championship in his career. Never the WWF, never the WWE. Well, actually, he was gone by that point, but never the Intercontinental Championship. And I thought maybe he should have won this one. And unfortunately, it never happened for him. But no, this was a good match. Again, I enjoyed watching both of them. And again, these are two wrestlers that are no longer with us. Then we get Earthquake with Jimmy Hart versus Greg Valentine. This match was interesting. I'm a big fan of Earthquake. Yeah, big fan of Earthquake at that point. Underrated, I think. Especially natural disasters. And it's a shame that he passed away. Imagine having the natural disasters come back. I mean, forget about the Dudley Boys and the New Age Outlaws, or the Headbangers, for that matter, coming back for another run. Fuck, are you kidding me? Natural disasters coming back. Again, I don't know how well they would do in this time frame. Anyways, he defeated the Hammer in this match. And then we get to Legion of Doom in their first WrestleMania match. They defeated Power and Glory, Hercules, and Paul Roma with Slickster. I said yesterday, Demolition were like a WWF version of the Road Warriors. You know, the fact that they were in AWA and stuff like that. Now that they are now in WWF, but also under the Legion of Doom, Animal and Hulk are one of the best tag teams of the 90s, following the Natural Disasters, of course, and Nasty Boys and all those guys. Then we get Virgil, who defeated Ted DiBiase by countout. That, again, like I've mentioned many times, I fucking hate countouts and disqualifications, but in this case, so yeah, last year, Virgil turned his back on Ted DiBiase, and now he's a face. He's got his own character. It's pretty cool to see that, but unfortunately, this match ended in a countout. That fucking sucks. Then we get the Mountie with Jimmy Hart, who defeated Tino Santana. The Mountie, Jacques Rougeau, who formerly of the Fabulous Rougeau brothers. Again, like I said, Jimmy Hart managing a lot of great Canadian wrestlers. And, yeah, the Mountie, you know, was never WWF champion, but he was Intercontinental champion for a little bit. This match, you know, was pretty cool. And, you know, he still looks good. I think I've seen him a couple of years ago in an interview, and he still looks pretty good. It'll be interesting to see if he can come back to the WWE. Then we get to our last match. Sergeant Slaughter versus Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship. And here's the thing, too. It's like, okay, Sergeant Slaughter turned his back on the United States of America and joined the Iraqi sympathizer. This was during the Gulf War. This was the Saddam Hussein who fucking waged terror, no less, on the United States of America. And he get the George Bush going and trying to stop it. At this point, you know, Sergeant Slaughter became the Iraqi sympathizer with General Adnan, who was probably one of the best insane take managers with his crazy eyes. Didn't speak English. This was a cool match, you know, to see how the American Hulk Hogan with the American flag bandana and his, you know, Old Glory waving, you know. It was cool to see this match. It was cool to see Sergeant Slaughter being a heel and putting the American flag on Hogan's face and beating him up and all that kind of stuff. But this was Hulk Hogan regaining, nonetheless, the WWF Championship. And, yeah, I mean, I figured, you know, that would happen. Eventually, Sergeant Slaughter would be a face again and making himself the American hero. This would, in turn, be the one where coming into the ring and having Hacksaw Jim Duggan hand him the American flag. You know, this is pretty cool to see this match and to see it, to relive it again, you know, and it gets better, I guess. This would be Hulk Hogan's last WWF main event championship for a while, and overall this was a good pay-per-view. But yeah, tomorrow WrestleMania 8. I actually saw WrestleMania 8 yesterday with a friend, and it was the first time on a DVD, but this was a good show, and yeah, not more I could say about it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.